lot of this work that we're starting is grafted on some pilot work that we've done with the Open team. Michelle already said a few things about them. They'll also be presenting in the afternoon. We've been really successful in piloting a lot of this work already. And so we're going to be bringing this now to the collaborative broadly. And so have a lot of tools out of the box and materials that we're going to be able to support this work for those that haven't started these programs before. I think it's always important to have some clarity about how we're doing the data collection, how we're doing the measurements, because this is key to then the actual quality improvement work too. We've talked about this before, but I'm just going to cover this ground again. This particular document, that complicated flow diagram, is available on our website even now. If you want to take a look, and it's we have this for all our quality initiatives. Effectively, we're going to be looking at a target population for naloxone who we feel is the highest risk for overdose. So those are individuals coming in with an overdose for treatment, individuals coming in withdrawal states, and those coming in actively seeking treatment for opiate use disorder. That doesn't mean that you can't also provide naloxone for other populations at risk. This is just the specifics of how we're doing the quality measurement itself. It's going to be for individuals age 12 and above. And ultimately, as we start, we're going to give credit for offering naloxone in any of a number of ways. We do feel like the gold standard is to physically give that medication at the point of care from the ED at discharge. But as we're building our programs, we're going to allow folks to also get credit for the quality measurement side of things if you're also offering naloxone in other forms, such as with a prescription or referral to another program where it's available. I believe a future state, though, is really going to be moving towards that point of care as the gold standard, and we're going to have support for your programs as you develop those that we're going to be talking about. So these are things that are now available off our website. I mentioned this, the flow diagram for the actual quality measurements, specifications. We now also have a PowerPoint slide deck. These are, again, available for any of our quality initiatives. This is about 10 slides long. It basically provides the rationale, provides the references for the literature that motivates the work. This is the kind of thing that you can pull off the shelf if you felt like you needed some description of the work for a group meeting, a faculty meeting, a section meeting. That's kind of the intent here. So it can be a useful tool. And then this is the at the elbows tool that we developed for you to use in your emergency departments. I think one of the things that we recognize with this naloxone work that we discovered over the pilot program is it's really not just about reaching the providers, the clinicians, the physicians. It's also about reaching pharmacists, reaching nursing. And so I could even imagine a scenario where, this is sitting at a triage desk in the intake section of your ER, and basically sort of calls out what is the population at risk for overdose, the ones that we're really targeting for naloxone within the measurement. But the reality is there's a lot more populations at risk that could be candidates for naloxone. And so we call those out as well here. And this is all from CDC guidelines that we're drawing this guidance from. And hopefully it created a tool here that you could use at your discretion, in your own workflows and operations. Okay, so here is that early returns on the data collection. We're about 4 or 5 months into this now, so it's still pretty early. You can see the distribution of the performance across all our sites. Obviously, there's some that haven't. And my bet is those folks that are ones that haven't really developed a program yet. And so that's part of the point of today, is to begin to develop those programs for those that haven't engaged in this work before. Again, the way that we think about this measurement is if you've offered the naloxone. This is actually a Tableau report, available to you anytime now, just like any of our other reports. This is live and available if you wanted to look at it at any point. We did a load of some descriptive work around those cases now that we're measuring. These numbers don't add up to 100% because more than one of these things could be done on any individual case. But we do measure this in the background with retard abstraction, whether or not the naloxone, again, was distributed, was it prescribed, refused. We do. That's the point I'll make too. We do credit you if you've offered and the patient refuses. You still get credit for that within the measure, and then directed to another source. And so if you look at the distributed cases, at least within that population at high risk, we've already distributed over 300 kits. Now, there could be a number of other naloxone that's been distributed that we're not picking up in the way that we're collecting this data for the purposes of measurement. And then here's a sense of the breakdown by sex, the breakdown by age. Again, it's within that eligible cohort so far that we're picking up in the measurement in the last 5 months. And then just because we can, we link this to zip code. This, I don't want you all to like overinterpret here. A lot of this is has to do with the locations of the EDs that are in Medic, but these are the zip codes of the patients who are receiving the naloxone, and you can definitely see some hotspots across the state related to the opioid epidemic, based on the way this map is falling out. Okay, there's just one other point I'm going to make here, and this is something that we brought up a couple times. We were just talking about it again in the executive committee. One of the brand new approaches to data collection that we're doing in Medic that we've not done before, although a lot of the other Blue Cross CQIs do this, is to get longitudinal patient-reported data back on our quality work. And so what we've built, we haven't implemented yet, but we're ready to, is a process by which we will survey individuals who were eligible to get naloxone, or may have gotten naloxone, or may not have gotten naloxone at the 6-month mark from being discharged from their emergency department visit, get their informed consent as part of this process to collect some data about their use and experiences with naloxone. My personal view on this is we don't have a lot of science, to be honest, yet around the linkage of ED-based naloxone and outcomes. And this is a way that I think we can begin to fill in that gap and also have some feedback on our processes and understand to what extent we're achieving our goals here of reducing mortality in this high-risk group by the work that we're doing within Medic. What you're seeing here are snapshots of the IRB approval letter that we've gotten at University of Michigan. We're discussing within the executive committee whether or not we need to get IRB from other sites, and so we're working through that process with that group. We also have a certificate of confidentiality, which is that second document there from NIH, which allows us to protect that information if somebody legally came seeking it for various reasons. Just sort of adds another layer of protection to our ability to maintain the security of that potentially sensitive data. One thing I think we thought would be helpful for you all to know it's just a sense of the data that we're going to be collecting in that survey. This is the informed consent process that they're going to go through before we get permission to get the data. And these are the types of questions that we're asking. It's actually a pretty short survey at the end of the day. It's about 5 minutes of their time. And mostly what we want to know is, of course, like, did you use the naloxone? Were you the recipient, or did you use it on somebody else? And to be honest, like, one of the things I think it's really key to understand is the naloxone that you give in the emergency department to that individual may not be saving that person, but maybe saving somebody in the social networks of that person. And it's critical to think about sort of the community impact on the naloxone, not just at the individual level. So we want to know that. I think the other thing that we hypothesize is happening is more ready access to naloxone, like that it's on, at your fingertips, is what is the mechanism by which we're saving lives. And so we want to measure that. And then we have a question about how often are you carrying naloxone in the last 7 days? And then we just want to have a sense of some perspectives on, was this important to you or not? So some questions around that at the end of the survey. So again, about 5 minutes, but I think really important data that we want to get back to understand how impactful our work is. That's all I got for now. Happy to take any questions as we're setting up the day for this topic. Any questions out there from the group?